Good morning. It's Monday, July 3rd, and we are in the second to third week of Cancer season, kind of third. I'm witnessing that as I go through these weekly initiations, they're kind of shifted. Like I definitely started feeling the Two of Cups energy last week, midweek, hard. And so as I'm kind of living through this year, I'm taking into account how I can make some shifts and adjustments with next year's planner. But we'll talk about it. I mean, these are they're ripening initiations, right? So sometimes we prefer the fruit a little bit before it's all the way ripe. And sometimes we prefer it when it's almost falling off the tree. So maybe for the Two of Cups, I'm so anxious for it, I just pick it right away. Just pull it off that tree. So I'll talk about the initiation. I'm actually going to read from some of this initiation this time because I remember when I wrote the Two of Cups initiation, I was witnessing a very vulnerable pattern in myself where I was realizing that because I felt insecure and because I wanted to protect myself, I was not giving and extending openness and love. I was actually like holding my cards really, really close. And I could see that that was injuring the person that I was in communion with. It was injuring him. And because it was injuring him, he pulled his cards back really hard. And so I actually wrote this initiation in a time of intense pain from that pattern. And every year since when it's come up, I've really felt into it and slowed my process down. I've tried to really take my advice because sometimes withholding or withdrawing our openness is actually an act of violence to the person that we love. And it could feel violent when people do this, especially when we're in a state of vulnerability. And the cups are kind of vulnerable, especially the early cups. They're tender, they're sensitive, they're pointing to the really young parts of ourselves that were so innocent and didn't really understand how to not take things personally. And so we're working with energy that now, like, we're older now, so we know how to protect ourselves. We know how to like advocate for our personal self first so that we're not destroyed by the other person's ability to give or withhold their own cup. So I'm just going to read a little bit from the initiation this week, and then I want to talk about Venus. Actually, I want to talk about Venus's upcoming retrograde and her how she's been reworking herself over the last 4 retrograde cycles, and then come into the context of this week, because we're moving into a time where we're pulling back a new arrow. We're pulling back an arrow from our emotional body, from Venus, from our sensitivity. And so I want to give a little context for all of that so that as we contextualize and create clarity around this arrow of Cancer season, I just feel some hindsight and I just feel it's valuable to go over this today. So anyways, this week, the second week of an emotional cycle, punctuated by a full moon, challenges us to bring the Two of Cups energy into our lives. Two of Cups traditionally told a story of a man and a woman offering their cups of love to each other. This energy would indicate that the two individuals would be sharing their hearts, sharing intimate space, and moving toward celebration with the Three of Cups. Do you recognize this pattern? We want and desire full presence, proximity, and love, willingly given from a full cup. We want to feel the reciprocal mutual extension of cups and feel safe in this balance. We want this, but we sometimes harbor distrust and fear. So we hold ours back just a little to see if they will really give theirs. It's so subtle. It might just be a flinch, but that little pause is being observed by them too. And they want more than ever to extend the cup, but also have fear and distrust. They see our energetic flinch and you see theirs. And we feel so incredibly vulnerable that we withdraw completely. Safer to hold my own cup safe than to risk them taking it and not sharing theirs. This is super subconscious, or it's super conscious patterning built on every little heartbreak we have ever had. What does it really mean to offer your cup to someone? Offer your love, your heart? No, really, this is actually pretty abstract. There are actions you take. You can say you love someone. You can do acts of kindness. You can give gifts. You can carve out quality time. You can touch them tenderly. All of these are really beautiful things to do for your lover, but these things are not love. They are merely the languages of love. While we meditate on this Two of Cups energy this week, look deeper than the language. Dive into your presence. On the surface, we could say the cups are all about emotions and love, but digging a bit deeper, it's more about allowing our vessel, our cup, our body to be completely filled by our awareness, our presence. Bring your whole self into the moment and be with the people you love, even if that's yourself. Notice the emotions or uncomfortable feelings or sweet ones you sense that would pull you back, make you flinch, withdraw your cup slightly. The things we literally say are only a small percentage of what is heard. What is felt is far more important. What we truly feel is the message that is being conveyed. If our presence is pulled back by subconscious pain, our loved ones will feel the pain and pull back. And the pullback. This triggers those feelings in them. You can imagine how this pattern continues. Use this energy to slow down. Put your feet into the earth and hold yourself in the moment. Instead of reacting and taking action from an unconscious pattern, use this time to let the flow of those watery feelings wash you as you stand firm in each moment, like a stick in the river. See if you can hold your presence and offer it, regardless of how the person in your presence is behaving. Be with your feelings. Feel them in the presence. Allow them to be seen. This is incredibly vulnerable, but this is what it is to offer your cup. So much love to you, present lovers. So I have witnessed myself with myself, and I've also witnessed myself with my partner this week, how I would vulnerably withhold. It's like a tiny trigger switch. It's almost imperceptible. And the only way I was really able to catch it this week is I was sitting across from my lover at lunch today, or not today, it was last week. And I started noticing myself like having a line of inquiry. I was asking questions like, so you mentioned blah, blah, blah. I'm wondering what you meant by that. And my mode, I was sitting, like, if you could have seen my energy, I was sitting with my cards really close. And I was asking a question that wouldn't reveal my cards. It was like a question, so I knew which card to play next. And my partner is so aware of energy. So he has a lot of Cancer energy. So when the sun is moving through Cancer, he's hyper aware of his natural makeup. And he called bullshit on the question immediately. He was like, whatever you just did, it's like you're interrogating my energy, and I could see your eyes searching for something, but you're not actually asking me what you want. And I was like, and I got flushed, and I was like, I felt this part of me wanting to be super defensive. I was just like, and I just took a breath and I was like, is he telling the truth? Did he say anything about me that I have to, like, did he say anything that I have to defend that's not real? He only talked about his own feelings. He said, when you ask me questions like that, it feels like you're searing with lasers into me looking for something that you need. What do you want me to say? And I was like, and I was all flustered. I couldn't find I couldn't actually answer his question. And he said, and then you have this silence, like you're expecting me to fill in the void. And I was like, okay. And so he kind of went on. It was a little clunky at first. He didn't know. He felt a little embarrassed that he didn't really know how to explain why he was feeling the way he did. And I was sort of like, oh, luckily we're at a restaurant, we ordered our food. There's like some subtle distractions, but I couldn't help but feel that there was something real and true about what he was saying to me. So as time passed, I realized that an event that happened earlier in the week where I ended up like leaving the scene without saying I love you and without saying goodbye. I was upset. I was crying. I left the scene. He said, don't you just want to hug before you go? And I said, I can't. And I got in the car and left. And so I was feeling insecure about my withdrawal, and I was feeling insecure. I was honestly feeling insecure. So my line of inquiry was from a space of insecurity. I was trying to regain my upper hand in our relationship by asking questions that would reveal things in him without me having to actually reveal that I was feeling insecure about my position or about my connection or about the rapport. So when I was able to find all of that within myself, I said, you know what, you're absolutely right. Your uncomfortable feeling was that I was holding my cards close. I wanted to ask you something that would give me my security back without telling you the embarrassing thing that I'm insecure. I feel insecure. And even though we've been together a long time and I shouldn't feel insecure, I do sometimes. And that's embarrassing to me. And I don't like to reveal that. And all of a sudden, he pulled his cup. He was like, I'm not giving this girl my cup. She's trying to manipulate me. Like he could feel that. And I was like, oh, okay. I was trying to manipulate him. Now I'm going into depth about all of this because I feel like this is not just something that happens in our romantic relationships. This is something that happens with life itself. We have this type of relationship with the universe. We have this type of relationship with ourselves. We have these micro insecurities that we say, well, I'll believe that this is going to work. I'll believe that I'm worthy of this. I'll believe that when you give me some of this, you give me this, and then I'll let myself surrender to it. So give it to me. Like, I'm not going to give you any of mine until you give me some of yours. And the universe is like a strong, grounded, it's not a person. The universe is a person. It's all the people, and it's universal. It's like core archetypal energy. And so if we see any of this patterning happening in our life at all, it's all stemming from our game with the universe. And so we can investigate our game right now. We can say, okay, you're right. I'm expecting to see some proof from you before I'll really lean in. And so this is what we have for us right now. The lover is life. Our lover is every day. It's the morning when we wake up. It's the food we eat. It's everything. It's every person we encounter. That is the lover. Rumi knew this. Rumi talked about this all the time. Like, this is big. And this year, so Venus, right? I want to talk about, I was even going to go before 2018, but I decided just to start with 2018 because that's when I actually started becoming really conscious of her retrograde cycles. In 2018, in the fall, Venus retrograded through Scorpio. And this is the year that we got right with our projections and shadows. We started to actually get a flicker of our own responsibility. when it came to our own projections and shadows. And so I don't know if you can remember back then, but I remember I had some pretty strong projections. I was still victimizing myself by creating abusers in the world. I was victimizing myself by creating an abuser in the universe. Like, well, the universe just, I have to do this. I have to do this kind of work. I don't have a choice. I'm codependent with the universe right now. Like so like this was a really strong time for me to, and I started going to seminars. I started to like hack into my subconscious. It was just before the Scorpio Venus retrograde that I went to my first Tony Robbins seminar, and I discovered that I had a subconscious belief that men were evil. And it's completely started reworking that whole mindset for me. I started to realize, what would my life look like if that wasn't true? And it wasn't true. And so all of a sudden, everything started changing. So then in 2020, it was May, June of 2020, Venus retrograded through Gemini. Now, we were all in lockdown during this time. There was a pandemic. And Venus was getting her mind right. When she was going through Gemini, she was like, what is my story about all this? Who am I giving my story power to? Who's telling the story of my life? And we had such strong stories being put into the world to give us some contrast. And so, man, in 2020, I had a story about I actually hit bottom in my sense of loneliness. And that's when I discovered I had an addiction to social media that was keeping me from feeling the depths of my loneliness. And when I was able to actually drop into that loneliness, I actually was humbly opened my arms and called in unconditional love it was the first time I ever felt unconditional love. And I was laying on the couch alone in isolation when it happened. It was like the loneliest moment of my life. And it also gave me the ending to my book. Even though the book is not complete, it gave me the ending to it. I know where the end is, but the pathway to getting there is very windy. So I got my mind right. In 2021, 2022, it was December and January of 21 and 22. She retrograded in Capricorn. And in Capricorn, we got our priorities right. The big picture priorities. Now we have a full moon in Capricorn today. So we've had some time to live out our deepest values for the life that we want to inevitably living. We were able to make decisions about our life and our lifestyle that would realign us with our highest priorities. And then it took this whole retrograde cycle for us to find our way into those priorities. And now in 2023, Venus is going to retrograde in Leo, and we're getting right with our body and heart. So it's more personal. We went from shadows to mind to priorities, and now let's reconcile all of that with our body and our heart. How are we applying all of that to our relationship with ourself, to the cup of presence that we hold with ourself and our life? Whatever we do for ourselves, it emanates into every single avenue of our lives. So she's not retrograde yet, but she's moving through the areas. She's moving through it. We are already getting glimpses. So surrender to it. Let it work so hard. Like in the best way possible. Like, yeah. I am going to go through the day by day now. So on Sunday, the moon was already in Capricorn, and Venus was in a square to Uranus, and Black Moon Lilith was in a trine to Chiron. This is a healing time. Black Moon Lilith has been the week before last, Mars crossed, Black Moon Lilith was trying to surface and help us to overcome our embarrassment of how we act and behave. Like, get over it. Show up however you want. Let yourself be seen. It's okay. And then last week, Black Moon Lilith is saying, hey, it's okay how you feel. You could feel weird. You could feel all kinds of weird, like uncomfortable, embarrassing things. It's okay. This is part of being alive. It's okay. Get right with yourself about it. And she was also in a trine to Chiron, because guess what? Getting right with that, overcoming your embarrassment of that, is part of the healing of being alive in the first place. Being alive is awkward and embarrassing sometimes. We're weird. There's this meme that I've been like looking at lately. It's coming up in my thing, like, so I guess I'm just wearing shorts and my legs are out, and it's just like, hello, there's my legs. Like, why on earth would anyone be embarrassed about having legs? And yet it's a real thing. I'm sorry, it's a real thing for me. It's real. And I'm stepping outside and I'm like, my legs, I don't know, it's weird. But here it is. Like, it's fine. Like, what do you like? How lucky that we have legs. Freaking The Little Mermaid gave away her voice to have legs. Like, it's like such a huge thing. She emerged from the subconscious to have a living, alive, free experience where it's awkward and silly and weird, and she has to express herself differently. I mean, I haven't seen that movie in a while, but this is Cancer Capricorn stuff. The symbol for Capricorn is half like fish and half goat. It's awkward and it's important and amazing, because you can move through all of it. Anyways, so Monday, oh yeah, the words I have for yesterday were, I kind of felt like someone was holding a flag in the sand saying, make joy my legacy. Like, from this point forward, the flag I'm putting in the sand is, it's got to feel good. It's got to be beautiful. It's going to be pleasurable. I'm making joy my legacy. Like, if it's not joyful, what the hell am I doing it for? If it's not in the sake of joy, even if the initial thing doesn't feel joyful, is it in service to joy? Yes, it is. If it's not, then what is it for? You know? So then Monday, we have a full moon in Capricorn. The full moon is opposite this. It's going to move opposite Mercury and the sun. So the words I actually have are long-term benefits of our values. I actually feel this is a moment where we can take a look at the long-term benefits of the values that we put in place over the last Venus retrograde cycles, and how that's going to affect and impact our life in the long haul. So we're going to shoot an arrow in the next, we're doing it now. We're doing it with our emotions. We're doing it with our life. We're shooting an arrow out. And so what are the long-term benefits of the values that we're making a priority in the immediate present moment now? And so it's just a good, yeah. So then tomorrow, the moon will move into Aquarius and it will pass over Pluto. And it's a holiday. It's a United States holiday. The words I actually have are detached freedom. Freedom because we're able to put our hands out and release. Freedom because it's okay. Freedom to let go. And so Aquarius already wants us to kind of zoom out and see the ripple effect, see the impact that every part of our life is making. And so there's a freedom in it's like double-edged, right? We're making an impact all the time. And my daughter the other day, she was like, I don't want to wear this because it looks embarrassing. People are going to see the stripes of my underwear through my shorts. Like, that's embarrassing. And I said, honey, we're going to be outside with a lot of people. I want to ask you first, have you ever seen something embarrassing on someone else? And she couldn't think of anything. And I said, when we're out, I want you to look around and see if anything you witness on anyone is embarrassing. And when we were in this parade, she like saw one woman who was deliberately wearing a clear tutu, so you could see her like bright underwear under the tutu. And she's like, is that's kind of embarrassing, but it seems like she's doing it on purpose. And I was like, if she's doing it on purpose, is it actually embarrassing? And she's like, no. And she said, she came through it and she's like, actually, no one's embarrassing. And I was like, freedom. So what if literally nothing is embarrassing? What if nobody cares? What if no one is actually embarrassed by us? So there's something in that for everything, for every piece of it. And then on Wednesday, the moon will still be in Aquarius. It's going to be across from Black Moon Lilith, Venus, and Mars. So the Venus, Mars, Black Moon Lilith party over in Leo, the moon's going to be on the other side of that. And it's like, okay, so if I have detached freedom, how can I look at that real personal stuff and also feel like, oh, so the words I actually have are remember where you're going. Remember where you're going and don't worry so much about it's somehow we're simultaneously being so present and remembering that in the longest, like, is this going to matter in a week from now? Is this going to matter in 5 years from now? Is this going to matter in 10 years from now? Well, if it's not, then don't worry about it. And if it is, then congratulations. Like you're probably most of the time, the things we're doing that are going to impact our life the long term, they're things that would benefit our life. Most of the time, the things that we're doing on a short term, it's really not going to matter. Like the harmful thing or the embarrassing thing, that's something amazing about longevity. I know that there's ways to have patterns over time that can impact you negatively, but honestly, I actually feel that there's a course correction system in our compasses that are going to continuously course correct us toward even more love, even more acceptance, even better. I think the future is better. I'm one of those people. I'm not a person that thinks the past is better. I think the future and the frequency is always, always, always getting better and better and better and better. And so remember where we're going. On the 6th, the moon will move into Pisces and it'll cross over Saturn. Saturn's in Pisces. It's been retrograding. And it'll also, oh, no, it's not. So something that's cool about Thursday is that the North Node the nodes will move to the 0 degree. It's getting ready to change signs. We're in a 0 point moment starting on Thursday. And so we're going to start to feel that crossover of the energies from the security axis to the identity incarnation axis. So there's something getting ready to come into incarnation in our lives. Something that's going to, it's like, I'm not that person anymore. I'm not in relationship with my life like that anymore. I'm not in relationship with the world, with food, with my body, with my lover. I'm not in relationship like that anymore because a new version of me is emerging. So we're starting to feel that emergent energy and it's exciting. I've been waiting for this moment all freaking year and beyond. I don't know. It's we're always in the current moment, but there are certain moments that I'm ultra excited about, and this is one of them. And the words I got for the day are trust the flow. Just trust the flow. I don't know what that means, but that's what it is. Like trust the flow. And I'm also going to be driving to Idaho that day. So yeah, it'll be interesting. And then on Friday, moon in Pisces, the sun will be the moon will be in a trine to the sun. Here, I just have let it all go. We're moving into a 3 of Cups kind of energy. We might already be feeling it. The 3 of Cups is like, just let it all go. Celebrate. Like, just don't worry. Let it go. Really, for reals. And finally, on the 8th, the moon will move from Pisces to Aries. And the words I have are reprioritize joy. So we start by making joy our legacy. Now it's like in real time, we're reprioritizing joy, and we'll feel the energy shift, and we'll feel that like emergent energy with Aries like flick on. And I'm pretty sure the following week is just going to be joyful fire. I think we're heading in, I think it's joyful fire, like hardcore. So anyways, that's where it's at. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to stop the recording.